We're going to be starting in about 5 minutes. Going to be starting in about 5 minutes, family. Welcome to Mind Spark Creations. We appreciate those that are tuning in or will be tuning in. So let me know if you all can hear me. Let me know if you all can hear me. I need somebody to go to the live and just let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. It's right. It should be right there on the freezer. You see it? Yeah. So go to Mind Spark. We got. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but something just happened with the screen. Though. It went all green.
Huh?
It went all green.
It's all green.
Yeah, like something. And like your screen is fine, but the screen is glitching. I don't know what.
What do you mean my screen?
Your screen is glitching, not your
okay.
Screen.
Can you look on there? Can you see the minister now? Okay. What are you doing?
That's not my phone.
Oh, it started. Turn mom's phone. Turn our phone off because we don't want that background noise. Or turn it off or swipe it up or something. And we don't want my phone on either. So if it's on live, turn that off because we don't want a bunch of repeats. Okay. All right. Can you hear me okay?
We'll go back to the screen.
So I don't know why you.
There we go. Now I can see
you. Can see? You can see me? All right, family. Thank you so much once again for tuning in with us here at Mind Spark Creations. We really appreciate you. By the help of Allah, we're going to be dealing with a very powerful subject today. And that subject is going to be the process of manifestation. The process of manifestation is very important that we know how to manifest in our lives. It's very important that we know how to manifest in our lives, how to be able to create the vision that we see from our minds, the vision that we have, and exactly how to form those. So I want to go first to one of the greatest lectures I've heard on this process of manifestation. So we're going to go and take a listen just for a few minutes to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he's going to be speaking to us about the belief in Allah, and it's a certain process we're going to get to, and then we'll stop there and we'll come back and have a live discussion about that process of manifestation. So we're going to go now to hear the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
All praise is due the Lord of the worlds, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. We thank him for his coming and for his raising up in our midst, a divine leader, teacher, and guide, his messenger, the Messiah, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I greet all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. I'm very thankful to Allah for His mercy and blessing to us to enable us to meet today. And we thank Him for bringing us safely to Africa and returning us safely home with a marvelous experience that those of us who were blessed to go and those who were blessed to stay and see it by satellite have been raised several degrees by the experience. I thank Almighty Allah, Master Farad Muhammad, for permitting me to share in the honor of fulfilling the vision of so many great men. Starting at the turn of this century with the Honorable Marcus Garvey, W.E.B. Du Bois, Noble Drew, Ali, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, his student Malcolm X, and others who envisioned Black people in America returning to Africa. As we said 2 weeks ago, that vision did not start with Marcus Garvey. That vision was given birth to by the word of God found in what the prophets spoke of our coming or being brought into America, a strange land among a strange people to be made slaves. And God's word declared that we would suffer and be afflicted in America for 400 years. God's word also foretold that at the end of that 400 years, He would come and judge the nation that we would serve. And afterwards, it said, we would come out with great substance and go to our fathers in peace. In peace. Beautiful scripture. So God made the prophets to write what we have now fulfilled. We were brought to America in chains. We have suffered and been under affliction for 400 years. The good news is God is not to come. God has come. And He has come in fulfillment of the word that He caused to be spoken by His prophets. And America is now under divine judgment. 4 great judgments are afflicting this nation as we speak. Rain, hail, snow, earthquakes, and many other related plagues are tearing America up in fulfillment of prophecy. America cannot escape her destiny. neither can you or I escape ours. Now think of the words. After we had suffered 400 years, God would come. How you going to know God came? You would see the judgment of God taking place, and you would hear the judgment of God coming out of the mouth of one of the slaves. Judgment only means that God has rendered a decision, and it is irrevocable, irreversible. It is as sure as the reality of God himself. And that decision is that you and I will not be integrated into America. I'm going to say that again. This is for the integrationists. And I don't want to bust your bubble. But I do want to pierce it so you can see the fruitlessness of your labor to be joined on to your enemy. I'm going to say it again. It is not God's intention or will for you and me to be integrated into a people whose time of judgment has arrived. It is not God's will that you be integrated into the world of the white people. That's not God's will. I know it's yours. I know that. We don't want to leave white people. I can understand that. What slave wants to leave his master? But when you become free, you want to get free from that which has oppressed you. So it is the will of God that we be separated from our enemy. Look at the words. And afterwards, after the judgment starts taking place, afterwards shall they come out. But they're not coming out empty-handed. They shall come out with great substance. And they're not just going to come out with great substance. They're going to come out and go. Go where? Go to their fathers in peace. Why did it say in peace? Because in our sojourn, we have been so confused. Confused about God, confused about the devil, confused about heaven and hell, confused about the reality of our lives. We're just confused, and there's no peace among us. But the scripture says we shall not only come out with substance, but go to our fathers in a state of peace. That means we will have made peace with God by surrendering to his will. We will have made peace with one another by acting in accord with God's laws that make brother and sister to enter into a peaceful condition with one another. So when we go, we don't go confused. We don't go unrighteous. We go home in peace. And guess what? That's exactly the way we went. We came out with substance. We didn't go back playing the fool. We didn't go back acting a fool. We went back with substance. And the greatest substance of all is knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. It's better than gold and silver because you can't protect gold and silver with foolishness. You can only protect gold and silver and material things with value that is beyond gold and silver. And the value that is beyond gold and silver, of course, is knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Well, we went back and we were warmly received by His Excellency, the President Jerry John Rawlings, the President of Ghana. And when you get your latest copy of the Final Call newspaper and you're able to see the beauty of the President, the openness of his heart to receive his brothers and sisters home, the beauty of your African brothers and sisters crying out to us in the language Akwaba, welcome, welcome home. The prodigal son had come home. Well, today I want to talk a little more about what my dear helper and assistant minister Ishmael Muhammad touched on. Vision. Brothers, it is a great blessing to be able to see. Jesus opened the eyes of the blind. He gave back to people the gift of sight. Vision is the faculty of sight. It is unusual competence in discernment or perception. That goes beyond looking at a thing. It is looking beyond a thing, looking into a thing, so that you have an unusual competence in the ability to discern what others miss. Webster says that a vision is a mental image produced by the imagination. It's deeper than that, Mr. Webster. He did the best he could. Vision has at its root, as we said on Savior's Day, an idea. An idea is a well-developed thought. You know, in the comic books, whenever somebody had a brilliant thought or idea, they would put over the head a light, a bulb. That said, light got turned on in the guy's head. He saw something. He had an idea. But he really didn't have an idea. He had a thought. Because ideas are different from thoughts.
You're teaching.
Ideas, like thoughts, exist in the mind, potentially or actually as a product of mental activity. You can't have an idea or thought if your mind is not active.
Good teaching.
Brain waves on a machine that scans the activity of your mind, of your brain, shows an electrical energy in the brain that says this is a lie. Electrical energy in the brain allows the brain to do what the brain is designed to do. Create thought, create image, create pictures. Listen, once you have a thought, that is a concept. When you say sister has conceived, what do you mean? Sister has conceived. What do you mean? She's pregnant, right? Conception is not baby. The conception has all the necessary ingredients to make the baby. But now it needs a period of gestation and growth in the darkness of the womb so that conception becomes a fully developed child, baby, fetus. When thought germinates in the mind, if you don't continue to think on the thought, now I want you to hear me. If you don't continue to think on the thought, then the thought without more thought only is a thought that comes and goes. And you will say when somebody else comes up with the thought, but thinks on the thought, they stole my idea. They stole my stuff. They making the money and I ain't got nothing. Dirty, low down thief. Wait a minute, fool. You don't have any corner on thought. You don't have any specific corner on imagery. Many of you have good thoughts, but you do nothing about what you think. So the thought was an opportunity that you blew because you didn't do by the thought what you should have done. You got to think on the thought. Thank you. You have to think on the thought. And thinking on the thought is feeding the thought. Then the thought develops into an idea. And that idea has with it a plan, a scheme, a method of fulfilling and concretizing what was a mental image that had potential, but now you want to actualize what you have envisioned. But if you even develop the idea or the thought into an idea and still will not work the idea, then God will give the idea to somebody else who will fulfill the idea and fulfill the vision brought by the idea. Now, let's go on. You all right?
All right, family, we're going to just pause it right there just for a minute. I'm going to pause it right there just for a minute because this is where we want to be in the interim of our conversation today. Because we're talking about the process of manifestation. As the minister just said, initially, you have to have the idea. But of course, the idea is not the manifestation of the thing. It is not the manifestation of the thing. It is the idea. We live in the world of ideas. What we're talking to you on this internet was once an idea. What the computers that you have at home was once an idea. And many people probably had the idea before. But as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, that if you don't continue to think on the idea, if you don't continue to build on the idea, and if you don't work on the idea, then God will give someone else the idea that you had.
Right.
So what is the process of manifestation? I just want to touch for just a second, and I'm going to open it up to my beautiful wife and son as we go further into this discussion. What is that process? The initial process of manifestation is that you have to have a vision. You have to have an idea. You have to have something in your mind. Your mind has to be full of the activity of whatever it is in your life that you and I and we will produce. So the question is, what are we thinking about? What are we thinking on? Many of us, we get caught in the rat race of life, and the only thing that we think on is the continuous going to that job or going to that school. And some of us become lifetime students, and some of us work the job until we retire and unfortunately die without being as fulfilled as we could be.
Right.
And we've had many ideas and thoughts along the way, but because we're entrapped into the rat race of life, then that's all that ever stays is the idea. You don't work the idea. You don't look at what it will take to bring the idea into manifestation. What is the process? The first process is the idea itself. Many of us have great ideas,
Right.
but are we working it? Are we thinking on it? Are we planning it? Or have we the idea, it may be so big, so large, so vast, that all we can think about is, I don't have the money to bring about the idea that I'm trying to manifest today. Because that's how we think. We've been taught that money is required for everything, and if you don't have the money, then just forget about it, because you will never get it. Because you don't have the money to get it.
Wow.
I just say this and then I'm opening the floor. The Rock, the wrestler, The Rock, he said in the interview, he had $200 in his pocket. And he didn't really have a lot of vision at that time, but he knew that he could excel because he saw that his family already was dealing with the wrestling and he had been around that atmosphere all of his life. But once he got the thought in his mind and he began to work on the thought, and then he began to work in the field, then he manifested what became to me and you The Rock. So if you watch WWF or WWE and you've watched it for some time, you know who The Rock is. He was no longer just his father's son. He became an icon of his own because he made a decision that he was going to work the vision, work the plan. So he went from $200 to probably 200 or 300 million or more right now. He went from WWE or WWF to movies, and the rest is history. So the question is, what is the process of manifestation? So like I said, I'm gonna open the floor. Oh, I'm gonna open the floor. Okay. Hold on. Let me. Okay. Yeah, there we go.
All right. Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings, everybody. Praying you are doing awesome. Thank you all for coming in to the show today or listening at a later time. We thought that this subject was so vitally important at this time that we're living in. You know, it's like, what is the process of making my dream come true? You know, what is that process? Well, as the minister said, that I kind of wrote it in the things, but if you don't think on the thought, it will come and go. Meaning sometimes we get a really great idea and it come and go. You know, it's like, okay, well, it comes and go. And sometimes we listen to doubters. We listen to other people who tell us it won't work. And I'm going to give you an example, and I use it all the time. When I was married to my first husband, I had this really cool idea, y'all. This was back in the 80s. Now, y'all going to laugh because it's popular now. But I had the thought before any of that happened. I actually thought it would be a great business to sell ice cold water to people in cars. Now, how many of you all have seen brothers and sisters on the street corner selling water to people in their cars? Now they didn't up it though. They sell pop now and juice. But my point is, I had that thought. And I thought that that was a good moneymaker because you could buy water so cheap. And then you could turn around and get like probably 75% profit from your investment. And it costs you less than $5 for a case of water. And then you can make $24. So I thought that was a really good idea. But my ex-husband thought that was stupid. And who would buy that? But I mean, you sitting in your car, you don't want to go in a gas station and wait in line. You don't want to, go into the grocery store, go through all of them lines just to find some, one bottle of cold water. I will pay somebody $1 to give me some ice cold water on a hot summer day. You know, so it was a thought that came to me to do, but it went. How many young people could I have employed at that time in the 80s, you know, that would have been able to make some money for themselves with that little small business? So we have to think on the thoughts. When it comes to you, that process of developing it, like Brother Dawood said, even if you don't have the money, okay, I don't have the money, but I got this idea for the community that I know will work and bring more money to individuals. We have an idea to do that. Did we discount or put our idea to the side? No. We started developing business and other things to fuel the money that we need in order to create that business. So it takes time and it's a process, but you don't give up. When you have that thought of greatness that Allah has put in you, and let me say this, you got to follow through with it. Because if you don't follow through with it, you are denying your community the greatness that God put in you. You are denying the world a new vision, a new expression of God himself. If he gave you the thought, then he knew that you can handle it. Okay? And you can handle it. You can do this. We're in quarantine, most of us. Some of us are now working at home. I know it's a lot of people that are still out and about, but you got to know that the hour that we're living in, that America is in her decline. America is in her fall. And so what that means, if you understand scripture and the time, is that evil and wickedness is being removed off the planet. Well, a lot of ideas came to people to do porn or to, you know, do slide down poles or whatever they're doing that is not of God. It's just not, fam. Y'all know I don't sugarcoat and I'm not always politically correct. That's just, you know, I'm just going to tell you like it is as your sister because I love you. That is not going to fly today because we are living in the time of God himself and he has chosen you and he wants to give you your inheritance for the suffering of your people for over 400 years and for the wickedness that's been on our planet for other cultures that have had to endure this evil and wickedness. God is now coming to give us his world, his mind, his thoughts. So now we got to take those beautiful thoughts of righteous behavior and God thinking and put those into action because that's the only thing that's going to survive today. If you want to rob people, that ain't going to work. These people jumping out of cars and putting people in vans, that kind of behavior is not going to work anymore. Because we're living in God's time. So we don't have to be afraid, people, brothers and sisters. We don't have to be afraid to pull those ideas out of our minds and make them work. And if you talk to people, family, friends, whoever they are, they tell you, no, that's not a good idea. Then you tell them, thank you very much, but I'm going to keep it moving. Because if I had stopped, or I did stop, but if I had not stopped, financially, I probably wouldn't have struggled as long as I did in that time period because I would have been making money. And then one thought leads to another thought. So if your thought is not some big grandiose thought, it's okay if it's small. One of the things that we have is our store on Etsy, right? So we have products that we sell on Etsy. A lot of the products I produce myself, we produce, and we have other people's products that we have on there. Well, let's say you are a manufacturer. You decided that you do, I don't know, let's say, give me an idea, guys.
Shoe cleaner.
Shoes or shoe cleaners. Okay. Well, you got to spend a lot of time on creating your product. And you don't have time to develop all of this website stuff and Shopify and Etsy. You may not have that energy to do that. And it's okay. that means then you need to get together with somebody who has a store, who want to sell your product, and then let them do some drop shipping with you, where you get the order, they get the order, they send it to you, you ship it out. Now you got to be honest and you got to be legit, because like I said, we're living in God's time. So we don't have time for crookedness. Okay? We got to be real and honest with one another if we want to be successful. And the last thing that I'm going to say on that is also you have to pull these business ideas and creativity out, because we have to keep our children occupied. The busier they are, the more constructive they are with their hands and their mind, the less destructive they are in the streets. And we will see a reduction in violence. We will see a reduction in suicides. Okay? These things are affecting us because we're not busy. We're not living, guys. And we got to be about living. God has given us everything that we need, but we got to pull it from within us. And if you are not in an environment where someone or people are not encouraging you to be your best and pull the best out, then you need to find another group of friends. You know, sometimes you got to love people from a distance. And it's okay. Just love them from a distance. Hey, how you doing? Love you, miss you. I'm busy. I got stuff on my plate, you know, and I'm trying to accomplish some goals, because life is business. If you're not busy with your family, you know, whatever it may be, your children have so much within them. If you would just sit down with them, let's just say okay, y'all know, I don't know, y'all might not know this about me, but I really like TikTok. I like TikTok for a whole bunch of reasons. I haven't done a video yet, and my funny side will come out on TikTok, but they have a lot of information. And one of the things that they play a lot of little videos, bored in the house bored. Okay, you don't have to be bored. Your children don't have to be bored. When you start putting things in their hands for them to create, you're going to see a whole different child, because now thoughts are going to start going, well, if I could do this, I could do that. If I could do this, I could do that. Okay? So with that, fam, that's what I wanted to share immediately, just my opening and welcoming you all and sharing that with you, because we're living in a time that God wants us to be successful. He created us to be successful. And we have that ability, but we have to begin the process in order to manifest what it is that He has put inside of us. So, Johnny, did you want to share some things?
I guess I just share my experience.
Okay. This is my phone. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is Jami Khalifa Muhammad. And I'm just going to give my personal testimony of the process of manifestation. Ever since I was young, you start school and you want to graduate and you see everybody graduated. So what I did is I worked really hard, and I kept thinking about graduating every day from preschool and each grade, and even graduating from high school. And that's why 2 years ago, by Allah's grace, I actually graduated from high school after all my hard work had finally paid off. And then I pray to also graduate college. So you have to put in the work and the time and the effort. And then another personal testimony that I've been doing recently is I've been posting more videos, and we've been posting more videos in general, and actually really trying to build our brand and our business up. And we've really been grinding on doing that. And by Allah's grace and mercy, as we keep working this, we'll become more successful and actually be able to help our people. Because the one thing that we learned from Brother Ben's class, is that in order to be successful, you actually have to think, how am I going to serve people? It's not really about making $1 billion or anything like that. Because you see all these billionaires around here, some of them are more depressed than we are, because they can get everything they want, but it's just something missing, and that what's missing is the morality and them helping people. And that's all I have to say.
Yes, sir. Awesome.
That's powerful.
Very.
You know, I just want to go in this light just for a minute. Okay. There we go. Let me go in this light just for a minute, Pam. Turn this. Okay, there we go.
All right.
Let me go in this light just for a minute. You have to, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us something powerful. He taught us something very, very powerful. I'm going to touch on two things by the help of Allah really quick. Number one, he said that the brain of man is infinite. And he said that whatever man can conceive in his mind, he can bring it into reality. I'm going to say that again. He said that the brain of man, that includes woman, is infinite. And whatever the mind of man and woman can conceive, they can bring that about. He also told us about Allah being self-created. That God created himself out of triple darkness. And he manifested himself in flesh and in blood. But mind you, he didn't, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, and our Savior has arrived, he didn't have a blueprint. He didn't have anything to go on. It was only him, his thought, and the substantive darkness that he had the power to enact with and on. And in that action, in his thought, him thinking on the thought, on thinking what it is that he needs, on thinking what it is that he's going to manifest. The first thing that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that God manifested was brain. Brain. And if you look at the development of a child, the first thing that develops in the human form when it develops is the brain.
Right.
The brain then calls everything else into existence. Did you hear me? I'm going to say that again.
That's right.
Once he created the brain calls everything else into existence. Meaning that the brain called into existence the organs, the arms, the legs, the feet, the bones, the cells, everything that he needed. The first thing that the God created was the atom of life. The atom of life, which has a positive and a negative charge. Once he got two of those, they hit together. They multiply.
Was that the spark?
That's that spark. The spark multiplies.
Right.
So in the midst of when the child is being conceived and those two atoms hit, you can actually see lightning, electricity rather, in the womb as the child is being manifested.
Yeah.
I want you to hear me right now. It's some people that's right now, you're wondering in the midst of the pandemic, what can I do? I'm online. I'm trying to find work. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. All I know to do is to go and work for somebody else, to do something for somebody else. But in the back of your mind, you have something so powerful within you that if you just took the time to develop it, you could come out of your condition
Right.
almost overnight. I'm going to give you a quick synopsis of what I'm talking about. Bill Gates. I understand we're not talking about his wicked intentions right now. We're talking about something that he did that we need to look at. And I'm touching on it just for two reasons. Number one, Bill Gates, when he first went to Xerox, he told Xerox that he had the ability to make all the computers and things that they had to talk to one another. I want you to hear me now. The reality was Bill Gates did not create that system. That system that you have on your PC called DOS, which gives the computer the ability to talk to each other. He didn't have that. It was another man who actually created the DOS. When he got done talking to Xerox, Xerox wrote that man a check for $1 million that day. So here it is. Once again, he just told him he had the idea, but he didn't even have the product in his hand. They didn't even have a product in their hand, but yet they wrote the man a check for $1 million. Bill Gates went to the man who didn't know what he had, gave the man $50,000 for his program. And from giving the man $50,000, he had already reaped a $950,000 profit without even anything in his hand. So that's why I'm telling you, your ideas don't always depend on money. It depends on who you're able to talk to. It depends on who you can network with. It depends on your ability to connect with somebody. Somebody, you may have the solution to the problem that somebody's trying to fix, because God answers prayers and problems through human beings. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say that again. God answers prayers and problems through human beings. When it's something that needs to be created, when it's something that needs to be manifested, when it's something that needs to happen, God enacts on the situation in the human affair and brings it about. When brain surgery needed to become a reality, God made the man who could perform it. Right. Listen now, the process of manifestation. As we said, the God is in the triple darkness. He doesn't have a blueprint. Sometimes your idea is so big, it's so vast, it's so new that you don't have anyone to look to manifest the idea that you're going to actually have to do it yourself. That don't mean you won't get help along the way, but people don't necessarily understand the vision that's in your mind. Can you imagine?
Right.
Just quickly.
Well, I just wanted to throw something in
Go
there.
ahead.
Is just imagine, and if I recall correctly, the man that created DOS was a black man, right?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, so it really doesn't matter. The point is, imagine if that man who created the system had gone to Xerox and pushed his own product. See, that's what we were saying, what the minister said earlier, is that if you don't think on the thought is still in the universe. So somebody else will catch that thought. And what happened is the man created, but he didn't think on his thought, how could he push it further, quicker? He probably thought, I don't have enough money to create this whole thing by myself, so I can't do it. But that wasn't someone else's thought. Someone else's thought was, wow, this is a good idea, and I can, go and get some money in order to bring it into fruition. If that is, I said that correctly.
That is right.
But that's why we have to think on the thought and then not be afraid. Continue with that process to manifest what it is that you've been given. And I just wanted to, add that if that man had done that. So, because a lot of times we're sitting on a jewel, we're sitting on something very valuable, but because we don't move out on it, we don't take that next step. Don't be afraid no more. Don't be afraid to do it. Just let's remove that fear, because it's like when you see that deer in the headlight, that's fear.
Right.
And unfortunately, a lot of times the deer end up getting hit unless you move quick enough to move around them. So we don't want to be like the deer caught in the headlights. We want to see, and then we want to keep it moving. Keep with the progress. Keep moving forward.
That's
Okay,
right.
What's our movie?
That's right. That's right.
Meet the Robinson.
Keep moving
forward.
Family, in that process of manifestation, you're going to meet some bumps in the road. You're going to meet some bumps in the road. I'm going to give you some personal testimony so you can...
Wait, I want you to go back, because you said one was...
yes, thank you.
I gotta help
one was that Bill Gates didn't have the money, or he didn't actually own the idea that he sold to Xerox.
Right.
But he knew that the man who did own the idea did not know what it was that he had.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that that man didn't know what he had. So he went and sold the man's idea, benefited from the idea, and then gave the man basically crumbs compared to what he got.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have something that you may not even know that you have, and you don't know the majesty of what it is that you got, somebody can come along and actually look at it, see it for what it is, take it to the next level. Look at Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc with McDonald's. Ray Kroc started out with franchising, but his idea was what you see now, McDonald's everywhere. His idea was that, but the McDonald's brothers' idea was only twos and fews. Ray Kroc's idea was international. And so now almost everywhere you go in the world, you can find a McDonald's, meaning somebody can come. If you don't see the power in your own idea, work the idea, manifest the idea to its fullest potential, and then really, like Ray Kroc, take your idea, and you're sitting there rubbing your hands, talking about what you shoulda, woulda, coulda done when you actually had the opportunity to do it then. Mm-hmm. So you don't always have to have money. How many times do you get what's called a sales pitch? What is a sales pitch? A sales pitch is I'm coming to teach you about an idea, a product, something that I may or may not even have right now. I may have the idea for a movie. I don't even have the script.
Right.
But people will buy the movie idea if you just go ahead, tell it, write it down, see it in your mind, think on the thought, create the vision, create the plan. You may not have all the characters and all of that, but they can bring in the script writers. They can bring in the actors. They can bring in the budget. They can bring in the budget to help you manifest what it is that you want to do.
That's right.
Look, family, we're going to have to come back and talk about this again because this subject is really deep. The process of manifestation. I just want to give one more story, personal, and then we're going to close it out. Now, if anybody has any questions, feel free to begin to ask those questions as well. Feel free to ask those questions. If you have any questions in the future, you know, we are on Facebook at MindSpark Creations LLC. You can message us there, and we'll get back to you about questions about shows that we have done, okay? So feel free to reach out that way. Now, me and my wife and family, we were in Macon, Georgia, and we went there. We started a business. Let me get it right because, yes, we went there. We started a business, which is this business, MindSpark Creations LLC.
Sorry, guys. It's thundering and lightning here. We're getting alarms.
So we had this vision. We worked on the vision for several months, but the business did not do all that we wanted it to do financially. So what ended up happening was we lost the business. We lost our house that we were renting because we couldn't afford it anymore. Had to end up going back from Macon to Chicago. But in the midst of that, I was saying that we wanted to get back to Macon. And when we came back, I didn't want us to have to pay rent to nobody.
Right.
So fortunately, at that time, my wife's financial blessing was coming in. And at that time, I was thinking on the thought of property ownership. Even if it meant buying land and putting a trailer on it or even a yurts or whatever it was, we didn't want to have to pay rent to nobody no more.
Right.
So what ended up happening when she got the money, I was already in the process putting it in the universe, looking for the home. And then once we got the blessing, I was able to find a home at the price point that we were looking at.
Right.
We went to look at that home. And that particular home was sold. But the owner told us he had another home that he wanted us to see, that it was actually a couple $1,000s over what we really wanted to pay at the time. So when we went there, we looked at the home. It was all that we needed. And then some. It was all that we needed and then some. We went and got the man. We bought the house right there. Right there.
That's right.
We bought the house right there.
I think we moved in the next day.
We moved in the next day once we got the key.
Yeah.
So what I'm telling you is once you start putting the thoughts into the universe, family. Once you start putting the thoughts into the universe, you start working on the thought. You start planning the thought. You start envisioning the thought. You start seeing what the process is going to take for you to get to where you want to be, and you start working on that, then God will begin to open doors for you that you didn't even know that was going to open.
That's right.
I'm a living witness. I'm a living witness to that.
He gives it to us from a place we expect not.
That's right.
You know, and of course that's good and bad, but you know, we don't always know where the blessing is coming from. You know, but God got that blessing ready for you when we walk on his path of righteousness. You know, so I mean, for me, I'm so grateful for the journey. I'm grateful for the struggles, you know, because struggle is ordained. That's a whole nother topic on a whole nother day. But struggle is ordained. And so it's part of the process. And I think if we just remember and know, you know, that, oh, my beautiful sister Rakia, I'm like, we continue with that process to manifest. Don't let nothing stop you. It may be twos and fews right now. But if you keep moving forward, a blessing is going to come to you from where you see it not. And all of us can really bear witness to that. You know, that if you keep moving forward, Allah will bless you with what it is that you desire in your heart. Because he put that desire there for you. You know, so I just say keep moving forward. Struggle is ordained. Don't give up on the process.
That's right.
Okay?
Don't give up on the process. Family, we're going to have to revisit this again. We're going to, because we've actually went about 7 minutes over time. We try to keep the show to about an hour. But we did go over a little bit. But we thank everybody for tuning in. This will be available on our podcast show. We'll drop the link to the podcast. We'll drop the link to the podcast in the next few moments, so that you can actually go ahead and subscribe to that podcast, so you can begin to hear what we're doing every week. And just so you all know that at 10:30, so in about, what time is it?
What time is it?
9:30 a.m.
So in about an hour from now, our time. An hour from now, we're going to move on to our next show, which is Love My Kidney. So if you're not following us here on Mind Spark Creation LLC, please like our page and find out what we're going to be doing here. Like it. Also, come on over to Love My Kidneys. That's another one. If you're dealing with health challenges, you're dealing with, you know, those types of things. We deal with health and wellness there. You can come on over and about.
Today actually is about home hemodialysis during the time of a pandemic.
Right.
That home hemo just means doing dialysis at home. Basically, there's several different types of ways. But come on over to the show at 10:30. That's in about an hour, our time, and we're going to kind of go into what's the difference between being at home during this pandemic and being in the center, meaning 3 days a week you go to the dialysis center, and what are the benefits of being at home and the comparison there. So I would love to see you all over at that show, because Allah's put a lot on my heart and my mind to share with you. So come check me out.
All right, family.
Like and follow.
Like and follow us here once again. We also on Instagram at MindSpark LLC as well. So if you're not following us there, you can do that too. We're going to continue to try to bring you valuable content, things you can go back to and listen to over and over again, look at over and over again, and get something from it every time. We thank you so much for tuning in now, and we thank you so much for tuning in later. So once again, we appreciate it. And as always, as we're signing off, we want everybody to know our motto. And that motto is to let the spark in your mind create
a new reality.
That's right. That's right. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Alaikum.
So
Love you all.
we'll see you over there prayerfully in about an hour. Have a blessed rest of your day. Everybody stay safe.
Yes.
Peace.
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 All right.